It was February 2011 in the Libyan city of Misrata. Muammar Gaddafi had ruled the country with absolute power for 42 years. He commanded the army, the oil billions, and a network of spies that reached into every home. His word was law. But everything changed when rebels rose up against him in the streets. Gaddafi responded the way he always had. He ordered his soldiers to punish the women. Troops stormed homes, tied up the men, and raped the wives and daughters in front of their families. One captured fighter later admitted officers forced them inside houses with music blaring while the attacks lasted an hour and a half. Gaddafi's forces used rape as official policy. But on October 20, 2011, in Sirte, it all ended. Rebels dragged the dictator, bloodied and half-naked, from a concrete drainpipe. They beat him, sodomized him with a bayonet, and shot him dead. His swollen, unrecognizable face lay in the dirt as crowds cheered and kicked over his corpse. Muammar Gaddafi was born on June 7, 1942, in a goat hair tent near Sirte, in the Libyan desert. His Bedouin family was poor. They herded camels and lived without electricity or running water. Young Gaddafi walked miles to a desert school every day. He lost several brothers to disease and hunger in those harsh years. That hardship left a deep mark. He dreamed of throwing out foreign rulers and making Libya strong again. By his 20s he joined the military academy in Benghazi. He studied in Britain but hated the West and its influence. On September 1, 1969, at age 27, he led a bloodless coup. He and a small group of young officers overthrew King Idris while the king was away for medical treatment in Turkey. Gaddafi seized radio stations and declared the Libyan Arab Republic. Crowds cheered in the streets. What most people don't know is that even then the darkness showed. Within months he began purging rivals. He executed or jailed officers who had helped him take power. He found a system that rewarded his worst qualities, absolute loyalty to him alone, no matter the cost. He renamed the country, banned political parties, and started building a cult around himself. The young revolutionary who promised justice and equality was already turning into the men who would use fear, public shame, and sexual violence to control everyone. Especially women who dared to live outside his rules. Gaddafi moved fast after the coup. By 1970 he nationalized oil fields and kicked out American and British military bases. In 1973 he announced the Cultural Revolution and shut down universities that criticized him. Then came the Green Book, published in 3 parts between 1975 and 1979. He called his system the Jamahiriya, or state of the masses. In theory it gave power to the people through popular committees. In reality it gave total power only to him. Revolutionary committees, made up of his most loyal followers, spied on everyone. They could arrest, torture, or execute without any trial. Public hangings became common. On April 7, 1977, students who had protested were hanged in Benghazi's main square while thousands watched on live television. Gaddafi called it the Day of Judgment. By the 1980s he surrounded himself with an all-female bodyguard unit known as the Revolutionary Nuns or Amazonian Guard. He claimed it proved he believed in women's equality. What most people don't know is that many of these women were later raped by him or his sons and then discarded. Soraya was drugged, beaten when she resisted, and sometimes passed around to others. According to court testimony and investigations gathered after the revolution, hundreds of girls suffered the same fate. The regime kept them hidden for years, but the shame was made very public. In Libya's conservative society a raped girl was considered ruined forever. Families often turned against them. Girls who escaped were called sluts and could never marry. Out of 50,000 responses, 295 women reported direct rape by Gaddafi's soldiers. Many described gang rapes while husbands were forced to watch before being executed. In one documented case in the village of Tamana, a father slit the throats of his 2 daughters after learning they had been raped for 3 days by soldiers in a school building, an honor killing driven by the shame Gaddafi's men created. Shocking statistic, human rights groups estimated thousands more cases went unreported because families hid the truth to protect what remained of their honor. Gaddafi's own International Criminal Court prosecutor, Luis Moreno Ocampo, stated in June 2011 that Gaddafi decided to punish, using rape, to crush the rebellion. His militias filmed some attacks and sent the videos to families to break them completely. Even his famous Amazonian guard suffered. 5 former members later told investigators they were raped by Gaddafi and then passed to his sons and high officials. The men who marched them in uniform as symbols of liberation destroyed them behind closed doors. Revolutionary committees had already held public trials where women accused of opposing the regime were flogged or shaved in front of crowds at universities and city squares. But the sexual violence added a new layer of terror. It destroyed not just the woman but her entire family's honor in one unforgettable public act. Gaddafi turned Libya's strict moral code into his most powerful tool of control. Unknown to most outsiders, the leader who once claimed to champion women was destroying thousands of them, both in his private harem and in the streets, to keep his throne secure. The numbers were staggering. Investigations later suggested his personal network abducted hundreds of teenagers, some as young as 14, for short-term or long-term abuse in specially prepared rooms. The system was efficient, cruel, and designed to make resistance feel impossible. By February 17, 2011, the seeds of collapse were everywhere. Inspired by the Arab Spring in Tunisia and Egypt, young Libyans poured into Benghazi streets demanding an end to 42 years of rule. Gaddafi was in Tripoli when the protests began. He called the demonstrators rats and drug addicts on state television and promised to hunt them down house by house. He sent troops and foreign mercenaries to crush them. But the rebellion spread faster than he expected. By March, NATO joined the fight with airstrikes to protect civilians. Gaddafi's forces lost ground daily across the country. He retreated to his hometown of Sirte. Even then he refused to see the end coming. He kept issuing orders for more violence against civilians, including continued use of rape squads in contested areas. What most people don't know is that while the world watched the fighting on television, Gaddafi was still abducting women from refugee camps and loyalist areas to keep his personal harem supplied right up to the final weeks. His reaction to downfall was pure denial mixed with rage. He appeared on television in military uniform, hair wild and eyes angry, promising total victory even as his compound was bombed repeatedly. He moved between safe houses, surrounded by shrinking circles of guards. The machinery he built had always depended on fear. Once that fear cracked under rebel advances and NATO bombs, the whole system crumbled quickly. By mid-October the rebels had surrounded Sirte. Gaddafi's once mighty army was reduced to a few hundred desperate men hiding in the ruins. October 20, 2011, started like any other chaotic day in the dying regime. Gaddafi woke in a house in Sirte wearing a simple camouflage jacket and brown trousers. His once jet-black curly hair was now streaked with gray and matted with sweat and dust. At around 8:30 a.m., NATO jets struck his convoy as it tried to flee the city through back roads. The cars exploded in fire and thick black smoke. Gaddafi survived the blast but was wounded in the legs and head by shrapnel. His guards carried him to a nearby drainage pipe under a road for cover. He crawled inside, bleeding heavily, clutching a gold-plated pistol. By noon rebel fighters from Misrata had reached the pipe after heavy fighting. They shouted for him to surrender. Gaddafi emerged slowly, hands raised, face already bruised, covered in dust, blood, and grime. His posture was bent and unsteady. Blood ran down his face from multiple wounds. His eyes were half open, mouth slack. Crowds in Sirte and then Misrata cheered wildly and kicked the corpse as it was paraded through the streets. By evening the body lay in a meat locker in Misrata alongside his son Mutassim. Photos and videos spread around the world within hours. The men who had punished women and broken families to stay in power died without any dignity, exposed and humiliated in public, exactly the way he had humiliated so many others for 42 years. Gaddafi spent decades telling the world he had liberated Libyan women with his Green Book. He put them in uniform and called them revolutionary symbols. Yet he turned their bodies into weapons of terror and shame. In a society where family honor is everything, he made public violation the ultimate punishment. The question lingers, how many more leaders hide the same machinery behind slogans of equality and progress? The women he broke never received real justice. Their stories remain buried under new wars and new silences in Libya. And the lesson is uncomfortable. Power that feeds on private violation always finds a way to make the violation public when it needs to. History does not always punish the guilty in fair ways. Sometimes it just watches them fall in the same brutal manner they made others fall.